Live. What is going on, everybody? I hope you guys enjoyed the fight. I 100% enjoyed that fight, even if it was a little lackluster on Jermell Charlo's part, but it was still enjoyable to see that domination by Canelo. So, without any further ado, let's switch over to my face. Hold on 1 second. Here we go. What is going on, guys? Welcome to Boxing Fanatico Live, episode 64, where we are going to talk about this Canelo beatdown that he gave Jermell Charlo. And of course, we got to start the show off with the legend, Hashim47, right? And so that's why we got the Let's Go champ to start the show. Thank you so much, Hashim47, for being here day in, day out when we go live. But also, we got to start off with Michael Buffer as well. Michael Buffer, hit us with the Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
Ladies and gentlemen,
let's get ready to rumble. Let's start the show. Here we go. Hold on. Let's see what you guys are saying. We got David Morales in the house. What's going on? What's going on? We got Replica Moth in the house. What's up, brother? Adrian Dones in the house. Hugh Jakes. We got Hugh Jakes. You already know. He the member. He the member. We gotta hit the member button. Woo! A lot of horns today. ASAP TV, no more Lions only talk. Yeah, that look like it's over. It look like it's over. And the things that he's saying after make it even less of Lions only. There's so much. Rashid, what's going on, brother? There's so much I can say about Jermell and his team. Did he even come to win? Every round was almost identical. No adjustments. Shaking my head. Lion. More like kitty cat. King of 47, liars only. That's messed up. That's messed up. Kittens only, liars only. All right, so I get it. You guys want to make fun of Jermell Charlo because he lost. I'm not that type of person. I'm not gonna make fun of Jermell Charlo because how I see it is, I just look at it as two competitors that, put their blood, sweat, and tears into the sport. You don't become undisputed even at 154 if you don't do that. So he does put his blood, sweat, and tears into the sport. But here's the thing. Remember what I said in the previous live streams when we were talking about the fight. First of all, I predicted this fight again. Not only did I predict the fight correctly, and this is crazy, by the way, because I predicted the Terrence Crawford fight that he was going to win by knockout in the round that he won, or I said between 8 and 10, which he knocked him out in 9. And then I said Canelo was going to win by decision, but it was going to be dominant, and he was going to have Charlo up against the ropes. He was going to land body shots and head shots. He was going to confuse Charlo, and he was going to win using that confusion and that pressure because he doesn't have great legs. So his best thing to do is to kind of corner you. And at one point, he actually cornered him in the corner, which was crazy. Corner you and then go off. So not only did I predict the fight, and not only are we at a 9-fight prediction streak here on Boxing Fanatico, which is crazy. I actually have to put a list together of all those fights. We've predicted so many fights that I forgot some of them. I literally forgot some of them, but I know that we were doing it and counting them as we go, so it's 9. I have to go back and put a list together, make sure that I'm following all of the predictions. But yeah, we predicted exactly what was going to happen. Unanimous decision win against Jermell Charlo. Now, one thing that I will say is that Jermell Charlo at 154, he already had vulnerabilities at 154. He's not a slick fighter. He's not a fighter that would, that does anything there's no special effects with Jermell Charlo. He's good at the things that he does. It kind of reminds me of Errol Spence. Good at the things that he does. Errol Spence obviously better at the thing that he does than what Jermell Charlo does, which is Jermell Charlo has good punch placement and good punch accuracy, but that was completely nullified by Canelo Alvarez because Charlo landed at an abysmal rate. I think about 17% of his punches landed while Canelo Alvarez landed like almost 40% of his power punches. Canelo did not let him take off. He did not give him offense opportunity in the entire fight. Literally at one point cornered Jermell Charlo. That is like the cardinal sin of boxing defense, being able to get cornered. Even though Canelo doesn't have any like great legs, he didn't need them that much because Charlo is not used to fighting this way. So it was very easy for Canelo to cut him off, right? Canelo's good at cutting you off, but he was great at cutting Charlo off because Charlo was doing something that was out of his element. This is one thing that I tell a lot of people about the Terrence Crawford fight. People think that this is an anime. People think that you could just, oh, well, if he goes to the drawing board and he learns that he needs to add a few more tools and be on his toes and do things that he's never done before, he'll come in and he'll beat Terrence Crawford. It does not work like that, guys. It is something where it is hard to explain, but it's basically burned your reflex. The things that you do that are technically correct are actually, you're not thinking of them when you do it. When you get to a certain level, when you've practiced a certain maneuver over and over again, when you practice a certain style over and over again, it's almost on autopilot. Your brain stores it in a different section where you're not actively thinking about it. Your brain is just doing it for you. It's like the muscle memory, basically, of all your moves. But it's within the realm of understanding, of having experience, of knowing what the other fighter may do in certain situations and having things already locked and loaded for that stuff. The way you fight throughout your entire life it's almost impossible to add something new to it and be comfortable doing that new thing. It's almost nearly impossible to be comfortable doing the new thing that you were taught just to deal with a certain situation. That's why when Errol Spence goes back to the drawing board and adds another thing or two to his repertoire to deal with what Crawford was doing to him, it's going to be awkward. He's going to be actively thinking about it. And when you're actively thinking about it, you feel awkward. You make mistakes because it's not ingrained in your brain. Jermell Charlo came out with a new thing that he normally doesn't do. And because of that, he was awkward. He didn't feel comfortable there. He wasn't getting his shots off. He wasn't in the right spots because he doesn't know how to do it under pressure, under the lights, with the crowd. You're fighting Canelo Alvarez. There's so much happening. It's like sensory overload. And then you're trying to do this thing that you were practicing that you normally don't do. It's always going to come off. It's not going to be easy to pull it off. So Canelo, he doing the thing he been doing that's already in his muscle memory. Everything just flows. It flows. In his mental, it flows. So it was easy for Canelo to take advantage of that situation. If Jermell Charlo, you have to be the best of who you are. You can't do things that you don't, you know what I'm saying? You have to be the best of who you are in boxing, especially when you've been established and you have a bunch of fights already under your belt. Be the best of who you are. That is the greatest chance that you would have to win. When Maidana fought Floyd Mayweather, he probably, in my opinion, had the best chance of beating Floyd because in the fight, not in terms of who he picked, but in terms of actually the fight itself, because he was just trying to be the best of who he was. He wasn't trying to figure out how to box with Floyd. He wasn't trying to figure out how to do little things and try to cut off and do all this. He just went in guns blazing. That's his style, and he knew that he had to overwhelm Floyd Mayweather. That's what Errol Spence needed to do, but he just couldn't be the best. Like the best of him was not enough for Crawford, and that's what Jermell Charlo needs to do, because at least Jermell gives himself the opportunity to do something that he's comfortable doing, and then he could kind of clash with Canelo's comfort and see who wins. He didn't even give himself that chance. He tried to be on the back foot. It just didn't work out for him, and that's unfortunate. Now they've interviewed Jermell, and he doesn't want to fight Tim Tszyu. Now he just got the taste of big money fights. He only wants big money fights. It's a very bizarre thing. A lot of fighters, they get this big money fight, and that's all they want. Terrence Crawford, same thing. All he wants is big money fights. But at least with Terrence Crawford, his big money fight is fighting Canelo Alvarez. So it's an appealing. It's something that kills two birds with one stone. But both the audience wants to see it and Crawford wants to have it. Jermell not fighting Tim Tszyu is something that the audience wants to see. I still want to see Jermell versus Tim Tszyu. Like, that is still a fight that I want to see, and we've been waiting for it. And I thought it was only on pause because Canelo Alvarez, he was fighting Canelo Alvarez, but now he's not. So if he ain't fighting Canelo Alvarez and he going back to 154, he talking about how 168 is not his weight, he couldn't deal with it or whatever. You're going back to 154, so you don't want to be undisputed anymore? You're just not undisputed. You're just going to have 3 belts and that's it. Like, you want Crawford? I don't know, man. To me, it's just like the luster for the Crawford fight is just gone. I don't want to see the Crawford fight with Jermell. I just want to see Crawford fight Errol Spence and then hopefully Canelo. It's not looking like Canelo wants that, but hopefully the stars align, and by September of next year, 2024, we get the Crawford versus Canelo fight. All right, let me take a pause on what I'm talking about to see what you guys have to say. David Sluggy Sports Hayden, what's up? What's going on, brother? The fact that he had the nerve to call out Bud after the fight, at least I didn't get knocked out. That was sad to hear. Yeah, man, that was crazy. I mean, he got knocked down. Yeah, but he didn't get knocked out. But it's hard to get knocked out when you're just surviving, right? When you're not trying, it's hard to get knocked out. He shouldn't have been there in the first place. Yeah, I mean, honestly, he would have done better than his brother. I definitely believe that. If because Jermell is the better fighter of the two. His brother would have probably been knocked out by Canelo Alvarez. The only saving grace that his brother has is that he's closer to Canelo, right? He's 1 division away from Canelo, and Jermell was 2 divisions away. But I don't think that has any bearing on how good they would have done. I still think that Jermell was the better option if you were picking the Charlo brothers, right? Jermell is the undisputed champion at 154. Jermall is just, I think, just WBC champion. He hasn't fought in a long time. He's in a long layoff. So his career is going south, while Jermell's career was kind of going on the upwards trend. Now, after this fight, though, who's to say what he's going to do next? He only wants big fights. But let's see. Let's see how this pay-per-view did. If this pay-per-view did pretty good, and there was a lot of buzz for the fight during the night of the fight, because I was getting texts from friends like, hey, who's going to win this fight or whatever? And I'm like, this is interesting. Now people are talking about it. Maybe there was a buzz burst, like literally the day of or the day before the fight. Barrios had the best fight of the night. Definitely a fan. Yeah, Mario Barrios did his thing. He beat Ugas, which, in my opinion, it elevates Thurman's skills right now. I think because Thurman beat Mario Barrios and he beat him very soundly. So maybe Thurman is still popping. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe Thurman is not as rusty as we thought, because he fought Mario Barrios and he did his thing with Mario Barrios. And Mario Barrios gave both Ugas, which he basically destroyed Ugas, and he gave Tank problems. Tank was losing to Mario Barrios until he knocked him out. So it's making it, to me, Mario Barrios, Thurman's win against Mario Barrios is aging like wine. It's giving me a little bit more interest in Thurman moving forward. We'll have to wait and see what he does. I think he wants Crawford or Errol Spence. I wouldn't mind. I would love for Crawford to move up to 168 and fight Canelo, and then not have to do the rematch, because to me it feels redundant, and then just have Keith Thurman fight with Errol Spence. There's a history there where Keith Thurman wouldn't fight Errol Spence, but then Errol Spence got it to a point where he was better, more popular than Keith Thurman, and he wouldn't fight Keith Thurman. So I feel like they need to kind of get together and just have that fight, especially since Errol Spence lost already. There's nothing really to lose for Errol Spence. A fight with Keith Thurman is a story fight, right? years in the making. So I think that that's a smart move if they want to go that route, especially since after Mario Barrios' performance, I'm telling you, it's making Keith Thurman's win over Mario Barrios look very, very good. He messed up everybody's chances of getting the Canelo fight. Everybody isn't at 168. Yeah, like I did notice that it looked like Canelo was bouncing off of that win and kind of giving the energy like, you see what I did to Jermell Charlo? Why I gotta fight Crawford? Like what's gonna happen? I'm gonna destroy Crawford. He's even further away. I get that. I truly get that argument. The only thing is that Crawford is literally the pound for pound best fighter in the whole world. He is no Jermell Charlo, right? He's not gonna come in and just like be on his back foot. Like, he's not going to do that. He has a lot of tools, and he's going to be using all these different tools to try to get in on Canelo and get the win. I actually foresee Crawford beating Canelo if they were to fight, although it would be a much more difficult fight. And probably we say that because of the weight difference, but Crawford might make it look easy, believe it or not, because there are limitations that Canelo has. And Crawford, there's rarely limitations there. He might get into a brawl every now and then, but Crawford is very technically sound and very deeper tool set in my opinion than Canelo Alvarez. So I think that it's not the same thing. Sure, it's 3 weights and not 2, but 2 weights against a bum versus not a bum. I'm sorry, I said a bum, but he's not a bum. Not somebody not on his level versus 3 weights against the number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world, a multiple division undisputed. It's a different story. We would be seeing a different fight for sure. And even if Canelo wins, Crawford is going to put up a good showing against Canelo. I said Canelo was going to show you he no joke, LOL. Yeah, I mean, we predicted it here on Boxing Fanatico, right? We're on a non-fight prediction streak. Not only did we predict it, we predicted the way the fight was going to play out. Same way we predicted the way the Crawford and Errol Spence fight was going to play out. We look at their tool set, we look at what they like to do and their weaknesses, and we come up with a prediction. And now we are at a 9-fight prediction streak. Crazy. Who in boxing media is in a non-fight prediction streak? Nobody. Only here in Boxing Fanatico. Only here. It might have been a good fight 7 years ago when it should have happened, but Canelo is way too big now. Yeah. I mean, I was annoyed when they said that Canelo was fighting Jermall. But I felt better when they said he was fighting Jermell, because to me, Jermell is the better fighter. And to me, skills is more important than weight. One little weight difference is not that big of a deal when the skills is involved. So I think the skills is more important. So that's why I was more, if he was going to fight a Charlo, I preferred that he fight the Jermell as opposed to Jermall. So I was happy about that. And Jermell is no, slouch, right? He's in a lot of people's top 10 pound for pound rankings. He was undisputed at 154. So he's no slouch. He should have put up a better fight, but it wasn't so much the weight. The weight wasn't a thing that he was dealing with, right? People use this as the excuse. Oh, maybe it was him gaining weight and that could have gotten to him. That is a possibility. But it wasn't like, Canelo was doing something that Canelo was just out striking him, out punching him, figuring him out way easier than he was trying to figure than what he was doing with Canelo. That's all it was. His punch selection was horrible. Canelo's punch selection was magnificent. Punch selection got nothing to do with weight. He just flat out was outboxed by Canelo Alvarez. That's all that happened. Charlo not on my pound for pound list after losing every round. Like, people comparing this to Plant losing to Canelo and Canelo losing to Bivol. Difference is that they actually went in there to win. Yeah, Plant did way better than Jermell. And Canelo losing to, and Bivol, obviously he did way better than Jermell, because he actually outboxed Canelo Alvarez. But I mean, I agree. I would probably update my pound for pound list and have him off the pound for pound list. He was always the person that I felt was not at the caliber of the other fighters, but there's certain criteria that I respect a lot. And him being undisputed at 154, I respected it. So I needed to put him on the pound for pound list. But I always had the gut feeling that he wasn't that, he didn't have the skills of these other guys that are on the pound for pound list. So yeah, after this performance, I'm probably going to take him off of my pound for pound list. I'll probably update my pound for pound list and put it on Twitter. Crawford ain't no Charlo, LOL. Charlo is a B fighter, tier fighter, but is a legendary, once-in-a-lifetime fighter. That is true. I agree. There's a reason Canelo fans trying to downplay Crawford by using the weight gap. Yeah. There's going to be people that's going to do that, right? They're going to be like, oh, there's no point or whatever, but deep down inside, they just don't even want it to happen, which I can't stand that. If Shakur was going to fight Tank, and Tank was the biggest threat to Shakur, I would love to see that fight. Even though Shakur is my favorite fighter, I would love to see that fight because I want to see how good he really is. I want to see if he could beat everybody. So I'm not one of those people that like a fighter so much to the point where I don't even want them to fight people that I think would beat them so that they don't lose to those people. I don't do that at all. One other thing that we talked about here too in terms of Canelo is after the Bivol performance where he lost and his John Ryder performance where it was like a little bit of a competitive fight when people thought that it wouldn't be just because they didn't know the name John Ryder. A lot of people were saying that Canelo was just like kind of like he's lost a step or two or whatever. And I said on here, on this show, I was like, we don't really know because Bivol is just not a name that people know, but he is a beast in the ring. The CompuBox numbers show that. He's the least hit fighter of all the fighters. He has one of the best plus minus in the entire sport. He's just not popular. And because he's not popular, people are thinking, oh, he lost to Bivol. Who's Bivol? Bivol who? No, Bivol's a beast. And then John Ryder's situation, everybody has those moments. Remember we talked about Floyd with Maidana. Does that mean that because Floyd had problems with Maidana that Floyd can't beat Manny Pacquiao? No, it didn't mean that because he did better against Manny Pacquiao than he did against Maidana. There's also styles matchups that just feel a little bit more difficult for certain fighters, right? Nobody's perfect. Everybody's going to, even Floyd wasn't perfect. He had problems with Zab Judah. He had problems with Jose Luis Castillo, right? He had problems with Ricky Hatton. He had problems with Maidana. So people, even the best of the best have problems with certain fighters, but then excel when they're fighting the top tier people that you're thinking that they're top tier. All right. So that to me, I was like, we got to see him in more fights, right? I'm not going to just judge that he's losing a step or two because of these fights. We need to see more fights. And I suspect that he hasn't. And when we went and saw that fight with Jermell that just happened this Saturday, he showed he was pretty much Canelo that we expect. Hit you to the body, hit you to the head, put that pressure on, and do all of this misdirection stuff so that it's harder for you to understand what's going on, and then just win. Have you mentioned anything about Benavidez? Well, I want to see that fight. I want to see it more now after this fight. But I was more leaning towards just getting him with Crawford right away. But since Crawford has to fight in December, I would love to see Canelo versus Benavidez in May. And then I guess the winner of that fight goes against Crawford. But I think that that'd just be an amazing fight. I think that they're moving towards that path. That's the reason why Benavidez is now fighting Boo Boo Andre, because they're just trying to eliminate everybody so that there's no kind of like, so there's a consensus in the general public that Benavidez and Canelo have to clash, right? So once they get Boo Boo Andre out the way, because Benavidez, I predict, will beat Boo Boo Andre, that fight will eventually take place, and I think it'll take place in May. And that'll be a fantastic night. I think that after this performance, now there's hype again behind Canelo Alvarez, and then with that hype, he'll ride that wave into the Benavidez fight. And he's in the PBC. Like, what else? They need to make the money back. right, from the 100 million. They need to make that money back, and I think that they'll be able to make that money back with a Benavidez fight and then close it out in September of 2024 with a Crawford fight. If Canelo beats Benavidez, which is not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but if he does, then they could really cash out in a Crawford fight. Because even if Canelo says he might not want to do it because he's not in the plan or whatever, he might end up being in the plan because the fight is just be enormous, right? There'll be people from around the world that want to see that fight because people don't really understand weight and all that. They just know that Crawford is the dude that just destroyed Errol Spence and Canelo's unbeatable or whatever at 168 and all that stuff. He's the number one guy to some people, and they just come together. That's just going to be a big fight. By beating Charlo, who got outboxed by Harrison and arguably lost to Castano, fight Crawford, a guy who never had a fight where you can say he lost. Yeah, he never had a fight where not one fight, which is very rare. Even Floyd has these, but Crawford has no fights where you could look at him and say, well, that's the one you lost, and they robbed. Because whenever it was even close, the guy got knocked out. And then if it wasn't a knockout, he won on the scorecards. I'm not the guy who brought Canelo the contract, although lots of folks were saying Charlo was going to win. I don't know why people were saying that. I think it was wishful thinking more than anything. David Montez, who lots? You mean the LDBC? They're always wrong. I'm not debating that, LOL. Yo, Poe in the house. What's going on, brother? Thurman hurts his chances not fighting enough. Yeah, he definitely needs to fight more. But him beating Mario Barrios, even after that layoff, was pretty impressive. Retroactively speaking, because now look at what Mario Barrios is doing. He had a great performance against Tank. He was undefeated before he fought Tank, and then he had an amazing performance against Ugas, right? Ugas, who beat Manny Pacquiao. So I don't know. Mario Barrios is doing his thing. I mean, Thurman, because Mario Barrios is doing his thing, Thurman's win is aging well. That's why I always say Thurman would beat Spence. He shows a lot of skills. Never was sold on Spence basic skills. Yeah, like I said, with Spence is just really good at what he does. He's very, very good at what he does. Let's see. Thurman, I got to move a little bit fast on this, and we might have to skip a few. Thurman got to get past Clarissa first. They're not fighting. I have not heard that come up. They're not fighting at all. Nobody wants to see Crawford versus Canelo. What? You're bugging. Daryl Alexander, you are bugging. You are bugging. If you put a poll up on Twitter, I bet you that Canelo versus Crawford will be the number. Even with Canelo and Benavidez as one of the choices, Canelo versus Crawford will be the number one voted on choice for who should Canelo fight next. It'll be Crawford. I guarantee you, people want to see it. Even if there's a weight discrepancy, people still want to see it because it's Crawford. The same way there was a huge weight discrepancy with Roy Jones when he went all the way up to heavyweight to win the heavyweight title. People still wanted to see that fight. Jones was at middleweight and he went all the way up to heavyweight. People still wanted to see that fight. And he won. So it can be done. Skills pays the bills, right? Skills is the most important thing. So no, people want to see this fight 100%. This is super cap. Stop trying to put him in there with smaller guys. Tell Canelo to defend his mandatory. I do not support that fight. You don't want the fight, but the world wants the fight. The world wants the fight. And again, Crawford is not your average everyday boxer. He is a living legend that is currently fighting in boxing that will be remembered as a legend when it's all said and done. So yes, I do want to see that fight because I want to see, to me, there's nothing else that could challenge Crawford. He has to go up 3 divisions and fight somebody of the caliber of Canelo for him to be on somewhat of a playing field that seems to create some sort of danger for him to lose. If he doesn't do that, then every single fight, after the Spence beatdown, every single fight would just be, any other fighter he fights is going to be like, we know he's going to win. Canelo will beat Benavidez next. We'll have to wait and see. That one's going to be a tough one. I'm not 100% sold on Canelo beating Benavidez just yet, to be honest. I think Benavidez would give Canelo a lot more trouble. I still have Canelo winning that. Yeah, Benavidez. But the thing with Benavidez is he's a come-forward fighter. He's 100% a come-forward fighter. His style is not, being defensive in any way, shape, or form in the vein of being on the back foot. That's not what he does. He's literally just squared up, and he throws fast punches, and he's probably one of the best punch selection fighters, having great punch selection than a lot of people out here. He could throw lightning fast punches that are perfectly placed. And I think that's going to give Canelo a little bit of trouble. This one's a tough one. That one will be a 50-50 fight for real. That one will be an actual 50-50 fight. But we're going to I'm still not, until they actually say the fight is going to happen or whatever, I'm not going to use all my brain power to look into that and analyze everything to come up with a prediction just yet. But off of the face value of not even deep diving it, I don't see it being easy. Like, I think people are thinking that it's easy and that I can't just without deep diving pick a person and win. That's how much I think it's going to be difficult for Canelo. I think if Charlo gave it his all, it would have looked and ended like the Brook versus Gigi. That's the thing too, right? Sometimes you just go out on your shield, you defend, you just make sure you don't get knocked out because you know that if you do any mistake, that it's gonna come back to bite you. And I think that's where Charlo was. He was just in survival the entire time. He was there for a paycheck. That's what it felt like. He was there for a paycheck. Canelo has been fighting bigger guys for the past how many years? He fights one small guy and then stop trying to put him in there with smaller guys. Exactly. Stop trying to put Canelo in there with smaller guys, but let Canelo go up and fight bigger guys. That doesn't make any sense. Like, only Canelo gets the benefit of fighting a bigger guys. Nobody else can fight him as a smaller guy, for him being a bigger guy. Only he can do this. Like, I don't understand. He wants to be great and fight bigger guys, and like it is kind of hypocritical of him to just be like, "Come on, look how small. Come on, come on." It's like, bro, you going all the way up to light heavyweight. What are you talking about? You going up to light heavyweight because you want to be great, but you don't want nobody to come up and try to be great using you. That's selfish, bro. David beat Canelo. Bud beat Canelo. Okay. I'm leaning towards Bud Crawford to beat Canelo if they fight. But we'll have to wait and see. I want that fight to be solidified, that they say, yes, this is happening in September of 2024. No, Benavidez will not beat Canelo. He could barely beat Plant. It doesn't matter. Plant was basically beating Canelo until Canelo caught him and started picking him apart. So that don't mean anything. And styles make fights. You never know, man. You never know. I truly think that this will be one of Canelo's toughest fights. 100%. Canelo fought small Mayweather and lost. There you go. Proved why he isn't on the pound for pound. Charlo proved why he isn't on the pound for pound list. Yeah. I mean, he's on for some people, right? I had him because of the respect of him, being undisputed. Definitely right about that. Wanting your favorite fighter to be protected is mad corny. Yeah, I hate that. Dude, your example was two guys in the same weight class. What weight class? What are you talking about? Boo Andre will beat Canelo. Oh my God, you guys, come on, Joe. That you the same one that said Charlo winning also. Did he say that? Boo Andre will be really? Did Dexter say that? I even waited to see if you would say something else. I want to see Shakur versus Tank as well. They're in the same weight class. Yeah, 100%. I want to see Shakur. Wait, I'm confused. Y'all probably having a conversation. This is you having a conversation with other people. He fought someone 2 weight classes below. Canelo better not let Crawford get that fight. I'm telling you now, if Crawford gets that fight, let's just say it will be the same story. He will not get credit for beating Canelo. Nah, Crawford will get immense credit for beating Canelo. Obviously, they're probably gonna start saying stuff like, oh, Canelo is getting old already, or there's a lot of wear and tear because there's so many different fights. He has so many fights. We're going to hear those things, but he's still going to get immense credit. And historically, when we look back, it's going to be very powerful, very, very powerful for Crawford's resume. He not only went up 3 divisions, he went up 3 divisions and beat Canelo Alvarez, right? With that win comes all the accolades of like, you're beating the guy that did all this stuff and you're beating him at his comfortable weight, because they took it away from Bivol because they're like, oh, but he don't fight here, even though he fought there before and he even knocked out Kovalev at light heavyweight. But they used the whole, he ain't never fought here, that's not where he fights or whatever. So that's why. But at 168, that's his spot. That's where that's his weight that he's comfortable. So you will be beating him in that weight and being the one that's so small that you're jumping 3 divisions to do it. I think that would be a fantastic. Historically, he would be looked positive. It would come off very positive for Crawford. Martin, you're Canelo steroids. Oh my God, jeez. They're going to say Canelo been in too many fights and Crawford always been in the opportunities and beating guys not in their primes. Yeah, they're always going to say something, right? Because that's how boxing is. There's never a clean win. I've never seen it before. Because there's people that they feel a certain type of way if they predict a fighter is going to win and the fighter loses. So a lot of times what they end up doing is they start trying to justify why the person lost and not just saying, hey, the other person was better and I was wrong, right? They don't want to say that. There's a weirdness where people, especially in the boxing content creation world, where content creators, they don't want to feel like they're wrong. They want to feel like they're right and they know everything and they know all the stuff, the in and outs of the business side of what's going on, and they want to feel like they're so informed because you have to come and get all that information from them because they're so informed. They know everything. They say everything correctly. So it's jarring when there's something that's black and white that just shows you were wrong. So if they say this fighter's gonna win and they lose, that's just like you can't even fuzzy it up like the way they do with any like negotiations back and forth, right? You could cherry pick information and make things work in your favor. For example, Shakur. If you don't like Shakur and you like Frank Martin, you could be like, oh, Shakur should have taken the 25%. Now he's offering 25% over here. Oh, he had $8 million offer. He didn't take it, but now he's trying to go. Oh, so why can't Frank do? You could do whatever you want. It's so fuzzy when it comes to negotiation. You could cherry pick information and make it seem like the narrative is with the person that you like. But when they lose, that is clear, cut, and dry. It's always a very jarring situation when the fighter that somebody wants to win loses, or a fighter that somebody predicts to win loses. And most people, not here, we predicted that Ryan was going to beat Tank, and we were wrong. And we just said Tank was better. That's it. Like, Tank was better. Ryan quit, and he lost. There was no excuses that was made because I don't attach myself to the fighters. I don't care about the fighters to that degree. I just made an analysis and a prediction. So that's all it is. But a lot of times people are attaching themselves, their personality, everything to that fighter. So that fighter loses and it's jarring. So what they do is they go and make excuses, right? They'll say the I'm a man. There's no excuses. Crawford's the best. And then a day later, it'll be 175 excuses. And then that way they feel better about themselves. They kind of try to battle back all the negative comments that are coming at them. Like, oh, look, you're dumb. You don't know what you're saying. It's like, no, I'm not dumb. It's that Errol Spence was tired and drained. You could tell he needed to be at 154. Look at his ring entrance. Look at how he looked in the locker room. You could tell that something was off. That ain't Crawford. That's all they do. Like, and that makes them feel better because that's who they chose, right? They chose Errol Spence to win. So every single fight will always have excuses. There will never be a clean win. Never, ever. Forget about it. Especially in the social media age, never. There's going to be a lot of people that love Canelo, and there's going to be a lot of excuses coming from people that love Canelo if Crawford was to beat Canelo. There's people making excuses for Charlo right now. So there's never a clean win, ever. Let's skip down a little bit. Hold on one second. Crawford, 2-time undisputed champion, beats Canelo. I do believe that. I do believe Crawford could beat Canelo Alvarez if they fought. but we'll have to wait and see. Canelo versus Crawford is a clown fight. Canelo has 20 pounds of muscles on him. Stop the cap. So was Canelo versus Kovalev a clown fight? Was that a clown fight? Daryl Alexander? Was that fight a clown fight? Because he went up mad divisions to fight. So was that a clown fight? Let me know. I'm still waiting on your response to the Fury comparison. Name a time Canelo and Fury ever fought in the same weight class. Both Crawford and Canelo fought at 147 at one point. That is true. Canelo did fight at 147 at one point. He did. He was in that weight class. Canelo's actually super overextending himself a little bit with how high in weight he's going. He's not that big. He's always smaller than all the guys he faces. He's going to be smaller than Benavidez. He was smaller than Liam Smith. He's smaller than all these guys that he actually faces at 168. So he's not a person that is technically a 168 fighter where he loses weight to be. He's like basically 168. Like that's like almost like his walking around weight. So it's a little bit different. Canelo has 20 pounds. Oh my God, bro. He doesn't have. Understand that clenbuterol, right? Even if he used that before, that is not a performance enhancing steroid. It's not a performance enhancing steroid. It's just a weight loss steroid, and that's something that he used because he was a little bit too big for the weights that he was in the past. If he did, let's say he did use it was because it was too big, but it doesn't give him additional power. It just lets him make weight on the scale. That's all it does. So don't muddy the waters and just everything that's PEDs that's banned. It does the same thing because they don't. Canelo is not small. He is short. But he's small as well, right? He's overextending himself right now. Canelo's when Canelo fights at 175, you don't think he's overextending himself, Daryl? You think that he is just comfortably fighting at 175 or he's overextending himself? So Canelo could overextend himself and that's cool, and he could get a knockout on Kovalev, but if Crawford overextends himself to fight Canelo, that's silly. That's what you're saying, Daryl. That's what you're saying. I cannot wait for May 5th. I doubt Canelo will go in any other direction than Benavidez. If he does, that would be very devastating, especially now that he's about to beat Benavidez. Benavidez is about to beat Boo Boo Andre. There's nothing else. PBC got nothing else. They only got what? Caleb Plant. He already fought him. A rematch with Caleb Plant is just out of the question. Nobody want to see that. And I'm sure Canelo's going to be like, I already beat him. What's the point? So there's no one else. There's no one else unless they do the Crawford fight. But I don't see that happening. I see they're posturing everything up to be a Canelo Benavidez clash for Cinco de Mayo, and that is going to be huge. That is going to do over millions of pay-per-view buys, and I want to see what this fight did because this is going to tell me how much star power Canelo has on his own through the Showtime PBC kind of marketing beast. I want to see what he does. Name a weight class that. Oh, you guys are just arguing. Hold on. Let me see. Gettin's Gaming Corner is it? What up, Fanatico? Congrats to Canelo. Charlo did not even try to win that fight. He has less heart than Spence and Wilder. They got beat, but got up and had to stop or lay down. Yeah, 100%. I mean, he came in. He came in definitely to not lose. I mean, not to not get knocked out. Like that was his main goal. I do not want to get knocked out. He had that deer in the headlights look that I was referring to in the previous lives when I was like, yo, he might have that, he might be starstruck, right? The lights might be too bright for him because some people, only a select few people are able to overcome that crazy situation where the buzz and so many people, the sea of people in the weigh-in and all of these things, and you're across from a person that you looked up to when you were younger, and there's so much that goes into his head, and I think he, like, all of that it showed that he had that issue when he was there, and he almost conceded the fight and just basically said, well, at least I wanted to go all 12 rounds. I'm gonna just survive, and that's what he did. Unlike Errol Spence did not want to survive. But that's what, that's why Errol Spence ended up looking like, the way he did after the fight, because he didn't want to, because he wanted to win. And same thing with Wilder. That water tastes good. Need that Bud versus Canelo breakdown video. Yeah, we definitely gotta do that. We definitely gotta do that. We gonna do that. That's a big fight. I don't doubt Crawford's ability to be tough. Fight for Canelo, but I think Canelo takes that one. I think Benavidez is a tougher fight for him. I think both Benavidez and Crawford will be a tough fight for him. I'm telling you, don't get so caught up in the weight. I think you got, like, even with the Jermell situation, it's not Jermell's weight difference that made him lose the fight. It's Jermell's skill. If Jermell was 168 and pioneered at 168, he still would have lost just as badly as he did. It's not so much the weight. It's the skill that matter. When Floyd fought Canelo rehydrated to, I think he rehydrated 15 pounds in one night. And Floyd lost weight. So Floyd came in on the scales at 150 and came into the ring at like 148. Canelo weighed 152 right on the catch weight and came into the ring like 165. And Floyd still completely dismantled Canelo Alvarez. So it's not the weight, guys. Don't get so caught up in the weight. Crawford is not Jermell in the way that Jermell fights and how Jermell carries himself in the ring. Crawford is Terrence Crawford. He's the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. He's a multi-divisional undisputed champion. He has an unlimited toolbox with tools in there where he could find whatever tool he needs at whatever given situation, and he's comfortable enacting those tools. It's not going to be the same thing. Don't let this weight thing confuse you guys. I think that because what happened to Jermell, they're scapegoating it with Jermell. But it's not Jermell's weight. It's Jermell. It's Jermell himself. He just wasn't at the level of Canelo Alvarez. Crawford is a different beast. He's a legendary fighter that is currently fighting. That's what's happening. Both Canelo and Crawford are legendary fighters who are currently fighting. What weight class did Sean Porter fight Usyk in the amateurs? I believe it was Porter. I'm not sure of the weight. Yeah, clenbuterol is a diuretic. Exactly. It's just a weight loss thing. Like, stop, people love to do that. It's like when Floyd was getting the IV. Oh, he's using steroids. That's it. It's steroids. They just bunch it all together. It's basically testosterone and human growth hormone. It's all the same thing. Like, no, it isn't, bro. He's just using an IV to give himself to hydrate, to rehydrate dramatically with the IV, because it's gonna put the salt and vitamins, salt, vitamin, and water into his body really quickly, right? So that he could rehydrate. That's all that was. There was no PEDs in the IV, but people are like, wait. But he was using that to mask the IV. No, he wasn't. He got the permission from the WADA to USADA to do that. He put in a thing. He's like, this is how we want to rehydrate, and they allowed for him to do it. People just be like, oh, just bunch everything together, muddy the water so it could look like everybody's using, like that I don't like is using a cheat. They're cheating. So it's not the same thing, bro. Human growth hormone and testosterone, that's different. That's muscle building, that's power building, that's energy building. That's a lot of different things that it will actually help you in the fight in terms of your power and your stamina and all that stuff. Clenbuterol is just gonna make him lose weight so that he can make the weight on the scale. That's all it's gonna do. The only thing that sucks about when Canelo fights is having to wait again until the next fight. Yeah, we got to wait May. But at least with Canelo, we know it's always going to be May and it's always going to be September. It never fails. It never fails. It's the Mayweather strategy. And it works for him. It works because everybody wants to watch boxing during those times, and he's like the number one guy. Well, definitely all the Mexican fans wants to watch boxing during that time. If Canelo goes in any other direction than Benavidez now, it's considered a duck for real. Yeah, 100%. But I think that's where they're leaning. He's with the PBC. Benavidez it's all lined up for that fight to happen. Benavidez just has to get past. He has to get past Boo Boo Andre. That task is on him. 3-fight deal, bro. I'm almost think that Charlo wasn't going to damage Canelo too much. Got to make the money. Probably not true, but the performance was so bad. I'm like, something was up. Nah, bro. He literally was just, he didn't want to get knocked out. He was just surviving. A lot of fighters do that. They go in the ring and they make a decision. So sometimes within the first few seconds, after they feel power and they feel some uncomfortableness and the other person is very accurate, they just decide, okay, I'm not going to get knocked out because I don't want the embarrassment of being knocked out. And then they just fight cagey and they don't get knocked out, but they also don't do anything at all. You're going to go all the way back to amateur to make a point. I could go back to Canelo's earliest pro years where he was probably fighting at 135. Oh my gosh. You guys are still arguing about that. Anthony Murchison, what's going on? I'm going to have to skip you guys because it's basically a back and forth. I lost so much respect for Charlo. I mean, Guinness, you said that Charlo was going to win, right? You said that Charlo was going to beat Canelo Alvarez. Didn't you say that? And we were saying here on Boxing Fanatico that wasn't going to happen. I'm sure you were saying that. I'm sure you were saying that Jermell was going to beat Canelo. Canelo not fighting Bud. I mean, I don't know if it's like a thing that Canelo is scared of Bud Crawford. I think that he just doesn't think that he's going to get anything out of it, right? So I wouldn't angle that as, oh, Canelo's scared of Bud Crawford and that's why he doesn't want to fight Bud Crawford. I think he's just thinking to himself, well, what's the point? Like, this is only for Bud Crawford. Like, I'm just like a tool for him to try to be great. Like, he just sees it that way, right? He's seeing it in the egocentric way of like, what about me? Like, what do I get for beating Crawford? Everyone's going to say he was small. Everyone's going to say it didn't matter. Everyone's going to say the only thing that would be spectacular is if he beats me, then he could get all that praise. But what do I get if I beat him? Am I wasting my time or am I just doing his work so that he can have this amazing moment or whatever? Like, what's going on here? So I think that he's just thinking of it in a way of, I'm sure, like, Crawford's going to get something out of this, but what do I get out of this? What do I get for my legacy out of this? Like, what are the pundits going to say about me beating Crawford? Is it going to be a big deal to the pundits? Is it going to be a big deal to the fans? Is it going to be something that they take away from me? I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. You using amateurs. Oh, my God. I can't even click on your name no more, King of 47. Hold on. Charlo got show no heart. It was all about heart. Charlo never opened his bag. I mean, his bag is limited. He got a limited bag. He got the same limited bag that Errol Spence kind of has, right? Errol Spence is just better at his limitations than Charlo is, in my opinion. But he limited. He was always limited. He was just the better of the two brothers, and he got good punch placement. But like, there was so much flaws in his game, and you know, with somebody as elite as Canelo, it could easily get exploited. What made you lose respect for him? His performance? Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was, Anthony. Canelo walked through Mel's punches, weight classes for a reason. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I'm on Trend and TRT looking like a young Ultimate Warrior right now. Yo, see, this is what I'm talking about. See? Right here. The weight Porter fought Usyk was 175 amateur if you didn't know. All right. I seen people say Canelo didn't look good and he only won because Charlo was bad, but I think Canelo, it just neutralized everything he does. Canelo looked good in the ring. What are you talking about? He had great shot selection. He had great pressure. He was cutting off the ring magnificently. At one point, he cornered Charlo. That is not a thing that normally happens in boxing. Getting cornered, where you're literally in the corner of the ring, is incredibly dangerous. There's no escape. You have no escape. You have no escape to the right. You have no escape to the left. It is very dangerous to put yourself in that situation. And Charlo was in that situation. That could only be attributed to Canelo's ability to cut him off and get him there. So he fought very, very well. He fought very, very well. So I don't know what people are saying. People always want to take things away. Right? They don't want to give it to Canelo. They just want to say that, it's because Charlo was bad. That's why you won. So you didn't really win. Charlo just lost. That's what people want to do. You funny. Yeah, I said it that Mel didn't show up. The Mel that got a draw and an L showed up. You see, man, we have to get to a point, man, where if you predict the fighter's gonna lose, they just lost. That's it. They just lost, man. Like, you can't, don't attach yourself so much to the fighter, Gettins. He just lost. He was not better than Canelo. That's it. And even though you say, oh, he didn't show up, but that's because of Canelo. He went in there, he wanted to initially win, but right on the offset, he realized that all his stuff was being shut down. He was being countered. Once he was being countered and everything was being shut down and he's feeling the power of Canelo, he's punch shy, or he doesn't want to throw as much, or he's not landing as much because he's befuddled. It's not that he doesn't want to do the stuff. It's that he decides not to do the stuff because he was already taught by Canelo in the fight that he can't do the stuff. And if he doesn't have more things to pull out to try to get past this difficulty that this wall that Canelo's creating, then he's gonna just either concede or get knocked out. Is one of the two things. So he just decided, forget it, man. Like, I can't do nothing. I'd rather just survive and not get knocked out. Stop. Don't take wins away from fighters because you made a prediction that a fighter was going to win. Like, no excuses here. In boxing Fanatico, when I make a prediction and the prediction does not come to fruition, which is pretty rare, by the way, because we're at a non-fight prediction streak. But that's besides the point. When that doesn't happen, I never sit here and give excuses. I said Devin Haney beat Loma. I scored it for Loma during the time when we were watching the fight. When the scorecards came out, I said, this ain't a robbery, because the fight was so close, it could have gone either way. It's whatever the judges was looking for. So, yeah, Devin Haney won because the judges felt that what Devin Haney was doing was better than what Loma was doing. There's no excuses. Just because I scored it for Loma, and I scored it for Loma. Imagine, that's easy arsenal. I could be like, whoa, I predicted Loma, and I scored it for Loma, so I could just keep pivoting and making sure that I look like I wasn't wrong, and I'll just say all these excuses and say he got robbed. And I could have said all that stuff, and I didn't. Because that's where we need to be with when we predict these fights. Don't attach yourself or don't hate another fighter so much that you just gotta make excuses for when they win, and don't attach yourself to a fighter so much that it's like when they lose, now you gotta say, oh, they didn't show up, they didn't do this, they didn't do that, he don't look the same. That's what they did with Errol Spence. The same thing they did with Errol Spence. Now they're doing it with Charlo, but in reverse. The weight was too much. Now the weight too much, so now he not himself. He doing something that he don't normally do. With Errol Spence, the weight is too small, so he not himself. He not doing. But it's always going to be a thing. It don't even matter if you campaign at that weight and won 3 world titles at that weight. They're still gonna say the weight is too small for Errol Spence Jr. Come on, man. Just let you know what I'm saying. Just make a prediction. If it's wrong, is wrong. The dude was better than the other dude. We already knew that it was 2 weight divisions up. You knew that before you made the prediction that Charlo was gonna win. You already knew it was 2 weight jumps. So the weight shouldn't even be a thing that you even put into the equation, right? So come on, man. Just accept the win. Give the credit where credit is due. This is one of the reasons why fighters hate fighting people like Canelo won't want to fight Crawford, because he already knows what the pundits are gonna say, because everybody does this group thing and they're gonna try to trash him for even beating a Crawford. So he don't even want to entertain it because of how boxing is. So just leave it alone. Just accept the wins and losses. Just accept the wins and losses. You'll feel much better throughout your life if you just detach yourself from the fighters from personally and just look at it as you're watching a sport and you're just picking a fighter. And if they lost. You will feel much better. Trust me. That's amateurs, man. Amateurs, not pros. Nah, his heart, he quit. I saw it coming since the press conference. He was way too nice. I swear, I'm going to make a video about it. All right, man, make your video, bro. Make your video. More stipulations. All right, bro. I don't even know Daryl Alexander. Daryl Alexander, we've already said Canelo has moved up to light heavyweight to fight. Why can Canelo move up, but why can't Crawford move up? Daryl, you have not said anything about that. Or if you have, I haven't seen it. Charlo walked himself into the corner. Nah, because he was getting cut off. He didn't want to go to the left. He didn't want to go to the right because Canelo was meeting him there with punches. So he was kind of like, there's a lot of psychological things. It's not just did Canelo grab him and push him into the corner. There's other things, right? He may have multiple times moved to his left and then Canelo hit him with a body shot, moved to his right and Canelo hit him with a body shot or a headshot. And then he doesn't know if a body shot is coming or a headshot is coming. And then he sees that he's kind of setting up for the right. And then when he's moving to his right, he sees that he might be setting up for his left. And then he's just moving back away from him and he's not thinking straight. But all of that is the psychological game that Canelo is playing. It's not just like the clear cut and dry. Oh, did he push him and put him right there in the corner? And then Canelo did it. There's a lot more. There's a lot more to boxing. It's the mind game. That's real. Boxing is really the mind game. It's like 98% in the mind. Like you're 98% in the mind fighting your fighter. And they're doing the same thing. The punches are just a byproduct of the chess match that you guys are playing mentally. So there's so many different things. You could give them a certain look that make them feel like don't go that way, and then another look that make them feel like don't go this way, and then they get trapped, and then they have like analysis by paralysis. They don't know what thing to do. There's so many things that they're thinking of doing, so they don't pick not any of them. And then they get stuck, and then they realize they're in a weird place, and now they're cornered. But that was built throughout the fight from Canelo. Canelo was building that by saying, oh, you do this, you get that. 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 And then he's like, damn, what do I do? Like, everything I do, I'm like, okay, what? I'm cornered. Is one of those kind of situations. It's all in the mind. That's how boxing works, man. It's all in the mind. Just let Crawford fight Canelo, man. Oh, make the fight. Stop being a blocker. Oh, man. I don't understand it, bro. I don't understand it. Canelo versus Benavidez, Demetrius is the fight for me. Well, he's going to fight Benavidez. If he beats Benavidez, what you want him to do? Walk out into the sunset and that's it? His career's over? Like, no more fighting? Because after that, if Benavidez beats Boo Boo Andre, the Boo Boo Andre fight made no sense at all. Nobody going to want to see that. Nobody's going to want to see that. Charlo is not trying to fight. Everyone is saying, and not just me, it's the actual reality. He conceded. We agree. Everyone is saying that is the same thing that everyone was saying about Errol Spence. And everybody was saying, everyone is saying that. Of course, there's going to be a large group of people that's going to be doing the same thing that you doing. There's a large group of people that are like, I said Charlo was going to win. And there's something was off with him because I said he was going to win. So something's off. Like they do that for every fight just because there's also people that are not saying that. So who do we listen to? Because there's a bunch of people that are not saying that he wasn't trying to fight, that Canelo shut him out, that Canelo didn't let him do anything. And then there's people that saying that he didn't try. So who we listen to? Do we just listen to the one that says that he ain't tried? Or do we listen to the one that said that he did try, but Canelo just nullified his offense? Which one we listen to? Which one we gonna listen to? You can't just cherry pick the anecdotal moments where people say the thing that you want them that you say. So to be like, oh, see, everybody's saying it because these guys right here are saying it. Yeah, but what about these guys over here? No, man, no. The best thing to do is to give the credit to the winner and don't make excuses. There's always excuses, bro. Always. Anybody could be like, oh, he didn't prepare himself. Oh, he didn't do this. Oh, he was injured. Oh, his shoulder. Oh, this. Oh, that. Stop. I can't stand excuses when it comes to boxing. I can't. Because there's always a problem. Every fighter goes in the ring with problems. They just overcome their problems and win. Every fighter goes in the ring with problems, overcome it, and win. So I don't want to hear it, man. I really don't, man. I really don't. Andre going to beat David and Canelo already. He said he wants payday. He know that. Make Canelo versus Crawford now. Yo, I mean, I don't know, man. I think Benavidez, after this performance, I kind of want to see the Benavidez fight first. I'm just hoping that, if Benavidez beats Canelo, it puts a whole wrench in it. And I'm not a Benavidez fan or a Canelo fan specifically, but I want Canelo to win because I think that would mean something, that would be something better for the sport so that we could get the super mega fight of Canelo versus Crawford. Now, that doesn't mean that I think Canelo's going to win. I do think that Benavidez has a big opportunity to win that fight. So we're just going to have to wait and see. He has a rematch with Spence now. Yeah, we know that. People are not going to respect Canelo unless he moves up to heavyweight and fights Fury. Yeah, man, that's true. Even Fanatico agrees with me. Yeah, for the most part in this argument, I do agree with King of 47. Canelo is one of the best at cutting the ring off, and Mel stopped jabbing. LOL, bad combo. Yeah, I mean, Canelo is good at applying pressure. He's definitely good at applying pressure. If you're good at your footwork, then you could be Photo Canelo because Canelo's footwork is not the best, but he is good at applying pressure, so it allows him to cut off the ring and do all that stuff. But you could run circles around Canelo if you're good, if you have good footwork, i.e. Arislandi Lara and Floyd Mayweather. But if you just learning the new footwork, like to do footwork, and you just doing it now, and that's out of your character, you're not going to do nothing to Canelo. He's too experienced. Canelo's with this PBC. They could put suspense fight later on if Canelo wants Bud. Yeah, but Canelo looks like he doesn't want Bud, so that's the only thing. Box Fanatico, so you like Canelo versus Crawford, but you don't like Benavidez versus Demetrius? Now that one's interesting. What? When did I say I don't like Benavidez versus Demetrius? I love that fight. I think that fight is amazing. Where did you get where did you get that I don't want that fight to happen? I was hyped. Did you not watch my last live stream that I did on Friday where I talked about how boxing is great this year and I talked about how Benavidez and Demetrius Andre's fight was made? I'm confused. I don't understand. I was hyped about this fight being made. I was hyped about Usyk and Fury being made, all in the same live stream. So yes, I do want to see that fight 100%. Yes. Like, this is amazing. That's amazing that fight was made. I wouldn't want Benavidez to fight anyone else if he wasn't fighting Canelo than Demetrius Andre, because then they could either cancel each other. They could cancel one of the other person out, and then we could get the fight. So 100%, yes. Like, what do you mean? I must have heard wrong. My bad, Pam. Yeah, no. 100% I want that fight. 100% I want that fight. That fight is a beautiful, perfect fight. It'll literally line up a perfect Canelo showdown. Actually, that fight made me want the Canelo versus Benavidez fight even more, because then if Benavidez beats Boo Boo Andre, there's no one else for Canelo to fight. There's no one else at 168. It would just be Benavidez. No one could be like, yeah, but you didn't fight Andre, because they've done that to Floyd. Oh, yeah, you fought Ricky, but you didn't fight Tim Tszyu. But Ricky beat Tim Tszyu, Casa Tszyu, but Ricky beat Casa Tszyu. Oh, yeah, but you ain't fight him in the past. And you ain't fight Margarito. And you ain't fight Paul Williams. It's like they're just, even though he fought all these amazing fighters, they're just looking for the ones he didn't fight. So this is a good thing, so because Canelo could at least, and like the viewers and everyone could at least be like, well, Benavidez already beat Andre, so at least this makes more sense that he fights the person that already beat that person, and then he doesn't have to fight every single person in the world. Anyways, we went a little bit over 10 minutes over on our live stream. We normally live stream from 7 p.m. to Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time, but we went to 8:10 p.m. Which is good. It's good. The chat was lit. You guys were having debates and stuff, and which is fine. I just couldn't keep. It was hard for me to catch up on what y'all was saying and everything. So, Fernie Zacharias, what's going on, brother? What's up? Off topic. Riddell Riley got the English title. Not sure if you checked out his fights, but I'm curious what you think of his potential. He's okay, but we have to see him with fight, bigger, more dangerous fighters before I could really, he has to start doing world, get into the interim kind of levels before I could start actually kind of analyzing how good he can be, right? Because he doesn't have a crazy background where I could kind of discern from his amateur background what he's going to be able to kind of predict what he's going to be able to do in the pros. So I need to see a little bit more from him. It's not always that you need to have this crazy, amateur background, but that is important to be able to kind of predict unless they show you in the ring. And that means he has to fight people that make it worth he beat that guy. Okay, he's really elevating his game. So I have to wait and see. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end it here, guys. Remember, smash the like. Yes, smash the like. Let me hit you out with the Michael Buffer for the like.
Ladies and gentlemen,
with the Michael Buffer for the like. And please, because people watch this video after the fact. Even though we're ending, people watch these videos on video on demand. So please hit the like. It helps the channel tremendously. Thank you so much for the video. The views were good on the Canelo, the post-fight kind of video that I did on Canelo versus Jermell Charlo. You guys showed up and showed out for that one. So thank you so much. But yeah, hit the like. Share the video if you want. Share this live stream if you want. But as always, we're live Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Sometimes we get a little bit overtime, like we did today, when there's a lot of stuff going on. We might go overtime just to make sure we get in as many of the chats, the stuff from the chat as possible. So guys, please remember, hit the like and also subscribe. Notification bell, all notifications, so that as soon as we go live, you could join and we could have this conversation and you don't miss out on anything. You see how Sir Kraken over here, Dan LOL, I would get that question in hella late. You see how he late? Because he's not hitting that notification bell with all notifications, and maybe he is, because it's always weird with YouTube. But if you don't get the notification, at least know Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. Eastern time. Okay, until the next one, guys. Peace out. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on Wednesday.